Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. This article that I have here, I think, pushes idiocracy and delusional thinking, or not thinking, delusion per se, to a new level. I don't know what to say about it, but you're gonna see as soon as I give you this article. So let's read just the headline. So this article comes from Bad Sputnik, and it says that US Senator threatens to leave Europe alone in response to Macron's remarks on Taiwan. So Marco Rubio, Senator of Florida, I believe he is. US Senator threatens to leave Europe alone in response to Macron's remarks on Taiwan. Now this is the way I see it. You have a rapist, and the rapist does what they do, you know what I mean. And while in the process of doing this and raping the victim, he threatens the victim to leave the victim alone if she doesn't moan the way he likes it. And you think the victim will be like, oh, how would you prefer, honey? Is this, or the victim will say, get out, come on, let's go. So this is what I see about this. So this rapist, Europe, and then ask Europe to do something, while doing this, and continue to and Europe is like, oh my God, what's going on here? And then the rapist says, you know what, if you don't do that, I'm just gonna leave you alone. And then what? You're gonna call me, hey, come back, Mr. Rapist. Jesus Christ, people. How delusional can you be in this one? And I believe, I'm pretty sure Europe will be crying a river, being left alone by the United States without Jesus Christ. Let's read this Weasel article. So Marco Rubio, you never proved that you're too deep anyway. I don't know. Whatever. US Republican Senator Marco Rubio said, commenting on recent remarks by French President Emmanuel Macron on Europe's role in dispute over Taiwan, that the United States should probably leave the European Union to deal with the Ukraine crisis alone. Yes, the war would stop immediately, I guess. Remember, the United States did not want to negotiate or address Russia's security concerns when they put forth at the last attempt in December 2021. Remember, and the Europeans were never too eager to jump on this little boat, which is Ukraine crisis. Only the Brits, which are followers big time, because they think they are the masters, supervisor in Europe. That's what it is. So, and I'm quoting, as far as not getting involved in other conflicts that are not ours, we need to ask Europe, does Macron speak for them? Because we are pretty heavily involved in Ukraine right now for Europe, right? This is where they start wrong. They think that United States, intervened in Europe, in Ukraine, to defend Europe. That's what this guy implies. Because we are pretty heavy involved in Ukraine right now. Get the fuck out. How about that? See what happens. Europe will be conquered by Russia, correct? That's your scenario that you're pushing, and which I think is very, very, very impossible and very much unlikely to happen. We are spending a lot of our taxpayers' money on European war. Really? You woke up now? Why? Stop that. Stop that. Talk to the Russians, stop the war, figure things out, which I could figure. Trump can figure it in one day. I guarantee you that. And I have supported that because I think it's in the national interest of the United States to be allies to our allies. But if our allies' position, and if in fact Macron speaks for all of Europe, and their position now is they are not going to pick sides between the US and China over Taiwan, maybe we shouldn't be taking sides either. Correct, get the fuck out. Maybe we should basically say we're going to focus on Taiwan and the threats that China poses, and you guys handle Ukraine and Europe because we helped that Rubio said in a video posted on his Twitter on Sunday. The senator also noted that it is important for Washington to understand whether Macron speaks for the whole European Union as a powerful leader or only for his own country. Additionally, Rubio said that Europe and France had been very dependent on the US over the last years. Not dependent. They were imposed. Not independent. They are... If United States leaves Europe, I'm telling you who's going to lose. The United States is going to lose. Not Europe. Not Europe. Europe is capable of negotiating and dealing with Russia. I guarantee you that. It's the United States who did not want the Nord Stream 1, Nord Stream 2 pipelines, not the Europeans. It was the United States who wanted to stop Europe from getting gas and oil from Russia, not Europe. It was the United States who wanted to impose, with the weasels in Brussels, a few of them, sanctions on Russia. They stick their nose and they say, well, we're going to let you here alone. You know, this is such a cheap blackmail. Such a cheap blackmail. Yes, you should leave. And I guarantee you nothing bad will happen. I guarantee you only good things will happen. And if that is, leave from Ukraine as well and see what's going to happen next. I guarantee you Zelensky is going to say, okay, let's talk about this peace process. But no, we want, and besides, it's not going to happen. They worked hard. They worked hard. The problem is they think their grip is loosening after the Second World War. Remember, after the Second World War, they took over Europe, big time in everything. They're defending it from the Soviets. Really? Well, let's talk about reparations, because a lot of people nowadays talk about reparation, this, reparation, that. You owe me that. I was the victim. You were the oppressor, and so on. Well, I come from Eastern Europe, and I would say that I demand reparation for the fact that the free world allowed my country, my people in the Soviet camp, in the communist camp. You owe me money. That would, alleviate some of my pain. Is that how it works? Why didn't you take care of the evil, which was Soviet Union and Stalin, the criminal Stalin, at that time? Why didn't you? If you are the supporter of freedom and democracy and love and, So I was left with my country by you over there in the claws of the Georgian dictator, criminal. So you owe me. That's exactly like what other people say, you didn't do enough. You could have done more. Well, you didn't do anything. You just left me over there. You at Yalta and Malta and Potsdam, you scrape that little European border and say, this is yours, Stalin, this is ours. What the hell are you talking about? And then after that, we're going to implement the Marshall Plan. Just look into the Marshall Plan and you're going to find out by a different translation that was an economic takeover by the American companies of the German industry. And not only. Remember, Henry Ford was offered Volkswagen, and he said, that's a piece of shit, I don't need Volkswagen. He was offered. Many companies took over. So, if you don't know, you're not far. You just click, or maybe open a few good books and look over these things. So yes, I think the United States will not leave because they worked hard to take over Europe as they already did. So this Rubio is just a weasel. I don't think he's an idiot. I don't think he's an idiot. He's not a genius, that's for sure. I would give him about 70%. So let's say 100% you're fantastic. He's about 70, okay? Or an IQ, I would give him, 100, which is an average for the situation. So anyway, yeah, just leave and the Europeans will cry you a river. This threat that if we take our weapons, we take our infrastructure from Europe, we'll have the Soviets immediately invade Europe was the threat that worked on weasels, on cowards. But anyway, you got nuclear weapons, France, you got nuclear weapons, Great Britain, just to take two of them. Do you think that the Russians will attack? If you have nuclear weapons, they will not attack. But anyway, even if we push it to that extreme, and I call it extreme, that Russia would attack Europe and take over Europe. Why? Oh, because the Russians are like that. Well, if you go by that, they look at the colonialism. Yeah, go and hide. Well, we're not like that anymore. Really? You just removed your French troops from Africa, as an example. What are you talking about? And much more. Look at the US bases around the world. What's that? To make sure that the global peace is and stability and the international law and all that bullshit? I mean, how tart should you be to believe all that? But believe me, there are people who would strangle me right now, yesterday and tomorrow. But I don't give up. You know what I mean? So anyway, yeah, please don't go. Keep raping me. Unbelievable, man. Yeah, I'm gonna moan the way you want me to. Just stay here and doing what you're doing. Unbelievable, man. I invite your friends too after that in Ukraine, and Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just. Jesus Christ.